You wanna see a book haul? Do you wanna see some books? Do you wanna see a book haul? I've got lots to show, don't you know? Hey, let's go! Yes, I'm filming this on my phone because there's no power in my camera for some reason, and my other camera still hasn't come back from being fixed. So I've got a huge amount of books to show you. I will be honest, there's far too many. Some of them, I'll admit, I've just put a box somewhere, there it is, are for Jennifer. There's a lot for Jennifer in here, but I will be reading them. So, yes. So I'll be reading them as well. So they're on my list, therefore I'm going to show you them. So first of all, I got her 2 box sets of Doctor Who books. So she loves Doctor Who. These are a little bit old for her, but you know I'm going to read them too. Now, I'm not going to read out all the synopsises of this because there's 2 of these. And there's 10 books in each box. So I will read you the titles. So we've got The Clockwise Man by Justin Richards. The Monsters Inside, Stephen Cole. Winner Takes All by Jacqueline Rayner. The Deviant Strain by Justin Richards. Only Human, Gareth Roberts. The Stealer of Dreams, Steve Lyons. The Stone Rose, Jacqueline Rayner. The Feast of the Drowned, Stephen Cole. The Resurrection Casket, Justin Richards. And The Nightmare of Black Island by Mike Tucker. This box set of books was £3 from the charity shop. It was £3 because it still had its shrink wrap on it. The second one didn't have its shrink wrap on it, and it was only £2. So I got 20 books for £5. You can't go wrong. So on this one we have got The Art of Destruction, Stephen Cole. The Price of Paradise, Colin Brake. Sting of the Zygons by Stephen Cole. The Last Dodo by Jacqueline Rayner. Wooden Heart, Martin Day. Forever Autumn, Mark Morris. Sick Building, Paul Maggers. Wet World by Mark Malakowski. Wish 'em Well by Trevor Baxendale. And The Pirate Loop by Simon Gurrier. Now, if you want me to do a video on these books and read each synopsis, excuse me, let me know in the comments below. Now, I've still got a ton more books, so let's get going. Dolly Alderton, Ghosts. Everything gets easier in your 30s, right? Those years have plenty to celebrate. Successful career as a food writer, a new home, loving friends and family. For Nina Dean, her 30s have not exactly been the liberating, uncomplicated experience she was sold. From fading friendships to exes popping the question, everyone is moving on, or worse, to the suburbs. And as her dad slowly loses his memories, her mum seems dead set on making new ones. And then she meets Max, who tells her on a date that he's going to marry her. But what seems like an exciting new development will ensure this year is Nina's strangest yet. So again, most of these books, there's a lot of them, there's like 50 because of those Doctor Who's, were from charity shop where they're mostly 25 pence. So I will say that. So then I got Never Never, Colleen Hoover and Taryn Fisher. Again, from the charity shop. Charlie Winwood and Silas Nash have been best friends since they could walk. They've been in love since the age of 14, but as of this morning they are complete strangers. Their first kiss, their first fight, now the moment they fell in love, every memory has vanished. Now Charlie and Silas must work together to uncover the truth about what happened to them and why. But the more they learn about the couple they used to be, the more they question why they were ever together to begin with. Forgetting is terrifying, but remembering might be worse. There we go. So yeah, there's a lot of books to go through. Then I've got Michael Connelly, The Burning Room. Again, this was only 25p. As you can see, it's not in brilliant condition, but I do like Michael Connelly. In the LAPD's open unsolved unit, not many murder victims die almost a decade after the crime. So when a man comes to complications from being shot 10 years earlier, Harry Bosch catches a case in which the body is still fresh, but any other evidence is virtually non-existent. Partnered with rookie detective Lucia Soto, Bosch must solve what turns out to be a highly charged, politically sensitive case, and one where, despite the seemingly impossible odds, failure to find the killer is simply not an option. And when the investigation takes a shocking turn, Bosch finds himself directly in the line of fire. Ooh, I love those books. Next, I've got The Empress by S.J. Kincaid. The Diabolic was the first book in the series. This is book 2, and I read that last month. You will see it in my April wrap-up, which will also be coming very soon. So this one says, An empress is graceful, an empress is a partner, but most importantly, an empress is a human. It's a new day in the Empire. With Tyrus on the throne and Nemesis at his side, they want to find a new way forward, one where they don't have to hide, scheme or kill. But having power isn't the same thing as keeping it, and the change isn't always welcome. The ruling class are not going to give up their power willingly, especially not to a teenage emperor and his killing machine Empress. Ooh. With threats at every turn, Nemesis must prove her humanity to those who doubt her, or she and Tyrus could lose more than just the throne. They might lose their lives. So yes, I'll talk about the Diabolic in my wrap-up, but that's the next one in the series. Jo Nesbo, Killing Moon. I'm picking up any Jo Nesbo as and when I found them, because I did read Cockroaches a while back and I enjoyed it. They are quite thick though. When a young woman is found dead, the police discover a horrifying signature left by the murderer. Then a second woman goes missing and they fear their worst nightmare has come true. A serial killer is stalking the streets of Oslo. With time running out to find the missing woman, former detective Harry Hole is called in to hunt down the ingenious psychopath. But Harry has ulterior motives for wanting to solve this case, and if he fails, he could lose everything. So that sounds really good. I've got Celia Ahern, If You Could See Me Now. I like these every now and again. These are small books. Elizabeth Egan is too busy for friends. As a reluctant mother to her sister Saucy's young son, I can never pronounce that name. Apologies to all my Irish people out there. Son Luke, and with her own business to run, but every precious moment is made to count. But with Cersei crashing in and out of their lives, leaving them both reeling, Luke and Elizabeth are desperately in need of some magic. Enter Ivan, wild, spontaneous, and always looking for adventure. Ivan changes Elizabeth in ways she could never have imagined. With her newly opened eyes and heart, Elizabeth sees what she's been missing all along. And as for Ivan, he thought he was there to help Luke, not Elizabeth or himself. I do really read a mixed bag of books, don't I? Marion Keyes, again, Rachel. I love Marion Keyes. It's not in brilliant condition, but that's all right. Rachel Walsh is a survivor. She survived rehab and the loss of her greatest love. These days, everything in her life is good. Good job, good dog, very good boyfriend. Then Luke, her ex of 6 years, turns up. Suddenly she's fragile and falling. They ended badly and neither can speak of the secret hurt which drove them apart. But is it fear of what happened or what might happen next? There you go. That's another one of those. We've got The Snow Angel by Lulu Taylor. Cressida Felbridge is living the high life as a debutante in 1960s London society when she's courted by a friend of her brother's and is set to marry. To mark the occasion, her father decrees she must have her portrait painted, but as soon as Cressy meets the painter, Ralph Few, she knows her life will never be the same. She falls deeply in love with Ralph, but he is still married to Catherine. As Cressy is drawn into a strange triangular relationship, Catherine's behaviour becomes increasingly erratic, so Ralph and Cressy escape to Cressy's family home in Cumbria. But Catherine will not give up Ralph that easily. In the present day, Emily Conway has everything she could wish for: a huge house, 2 beautiful children, and a successful husband, Will. But as they drive to a party one night, Will receives he's been betrayed by his business partner, and then in one shocking move, their perfect life together ends. When Emily awakes from her injuries, she's told of a mysterious legacy, a house in Cumbria left to her by a woman she's never met. Could this be the chance to start anew, or does this house have more secrets than answers? Sounds interesting. We've got another Cecilia Ahern. This is A Place Called Here. Ever since the day her classmate Jenny May Butler vanished, Sandy Short has been haunted by what happens when something or someone disappears. Finding has become her goal. Jack Ruttle is desperate to find his younger brother Donald, who vanished into thin air a year ago. So when he spots an ad for Sandy's missing persons agency, he's certain she will answer his prayers and find his missing brother. But then Sandy disappears too, stumbling upon a place that's a world away from the only one she's ever known. Now all she wants, more than anything, is to find her way home. That sounds quite good. These are quick reads for me. These won't take long, like maybe 10 minutes. Not about 10 minutes, like an hour or so. Another Marion Keyes, one on the other side of the story. I love Marion Keyes. The Agent, Jojo, a high-flying literary agent on the up. Just made a very bad career move. She jumped into bed with her married boss, Mark. Jojo's sweet-natured client, Lily's first novel, is a roaring success. She and lover Anton celebrate by spending the advance for her second book, and then she gets writer's block. That's pretty much a standard story in this sort of book. The unknown. Gemma used to be Lily's best friend until Lily stole Anton. Now she's writing her own story, painfully and hilariously, when Super Shark agent Jojo stumbles across it. When their fortunes become entangled, it seems too much to hope that they'll discover a happy ending. But maybe they'll each discover there's more to one side to every story. Yeah, I like Marion Keyes. Then we've got a non-fiction, well, sort of non-fiction book. It's Agatha Christie, Poirot, the Greatest Detective in the World, by Mark Aldridge. Forward by Mark Gatiss. So yes, this is from the publication of Agatha Christie's very first book to the release of Kenneth Branagh's Death on the Nile. Hercule Poirot has had near permanent presence in the public eye since the publication of The Mysterious Affair at Styles in 1920. And the story of Poirot is as fascinating as it is enduring. Investigating the phenomenon of probably the world's favourite fictional detective, Mark Aldridge tells his story decade by decade, exploring and analysing Poirot's many and varied appearances, not only in Agatha Christie's original novels and short stories, but also across stage, screen and radio productions. Based on extensive research and previously unpublished correspondence, Agatha Christie's Poirot, the Greatest Detective in the World, is essential reading for any Christie fan, traced in Poirot's footsteps through the literary canon and behind the scenes of nearly a century on screen. It's alright. I like stuff like that. And this is the most expensive charity shop book I've ever bought. It's $1.99, and it's Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine by Gail Honeyman. So here we go. Eleanor Oliphant has learned how to survive but not how to live. That's what it says there. Let's have a look at the inside. She wears the same clothes to work every day, eats the same meal deal for lunch every day, and buys the same 2 bottles of vodka to drink every weekend. Eleanor Oliphant is happy. Nothing is missing from her carefully timetabled life, except sometimes everything. One simple act of kindness is about to shatter the walls Eleanor has built around herself, and now she must learn how to navigate the world that everyone else seems to take for granted, while searching for the courage to face the dark corners she avoided all her life. Change can be good, change can be bad, but surely any change is better than fine. Alright, that's that bag done. Yes, I keep my book hauls in bags until I've done them. And let's come out. Next one. There should be some in here for Jennifer as well somewhere. If not, I'll have to find them because they're around somewhere. Kirsten Hannah Wintergarden. Meredith and Nina Whitson are as different as sisters can be. One stayed in a home to raise her children and manage the family apple orchard. The other followed a dream and travelled the world to become a famous photojournalist. But when their beloved father falls ill, these 2 estranged women will find themselves together again, standing alongside their cold, disapproving mother Anya, who even now offers no comfort to her daughters. On his deathbed, their father extracts one last promise from the women in his life. It begins with a story that's unlike anything the sisters have ever heard before. A captivating, mysterious love story that spans 65 years and moves from frozen, war-torn Leningrad to modern-day Alaska. The vividly imagined tale brings these 3 women together in a way that none of them could have expected. Meredith and Nina will finally learn the secret of their mother's past and uncover a truth so terrible it will shake the foundations of their family and change who they think they are. Now, I did buy some from eBay that were a little bit more expensive, this being one of them. This is Times Convert by Deborah Harkness. This is part of the All Souls story. The All Souls trilogy obviously is a Discovery of Witches, Book of Life, and whatever the last one was called, which I do have. I have not read this one. I do believe she's got another one coming out later this year. From Human to Vampire. Marcus Whitmore was made a vampire in the 18th century. Over 200 years later, he finds himself in love with Phoebe Taylor, a human who decides to become a vampire herself. But her transformation will prove as challenging now as it was for Marcus when he first encountered Matthew de Clermont, his sire. While Phoebe is secreted away, Marcus relives his own journey from battlefields of the American Revolutionary War through the treachery of the French Revolution to a bloody finale in New Orleans. His belief in liberty, equality and brotherhood challenged at every stage by the patriarchy of the de Clermonts. What will he and Phoebe discover in one another when they are finally reunited at Le Revenant, beneath the watchful gaze of Matthew and his wife Diana Bishop? So yeah, so this is it carries on from the All Souls trilogy, which was the story of Marcus and Diana. So yeah, I didn't get this when it first came out, but now I've picked up a copy. Another one that I bought for the permanent collection from eBay is a Peter James one, which is Dreamer. As you can tell, this is quite an old book. This is one of his very early novels. When awaking from your dream means living your nightmare. Yeah, so prior to this, he'd only had 4 books released. It was from a library. I don't really worry about that. If I want something from my permanent collection, I'll get it, and I can always replace it with a better copy if I find one somewhere. The last time the dream came, Sam was 7 years old, and that was the night her parents were to die. 25 years later, Sam's nightmares are starting to come true once more. Now a successful commercial producer, juggling her role of career woman, wife to a city Eurobond dealer, and mother to a young child, she attempts to shut them out. But soon she's faced with the reality of dreams in which her life and that of her family are threatened. In desperation, she consults experts in dream research, a psychiatrist, a clairvoyant, to no avail. She is being drawn inexorably into a vortex of terror from which there is no escape. So yes, nice. And another Peter James, which I thought I had, but I apparently don't. I bet I have. I'll find it later. It's Twist of the Knife. I think I had a paperback of it. And you have to read the inside because they put pictures of all his other books on the back. Basically, this is a collection of short stories. From a woman intent on bizarre revenge to a restaurant critic with a morbid fear of the number 13, and from a man arranging a life-changing assignation to a couple heading for disaster-filled vacation. It just says then, in multi-million copy best-selling author Peter James' collection of short stories, we first come to meet Brighton's finest detective Roy Grace, and read the tale that went on to inspire James's hugely successful novel Dead Simple. James exposes the Achilles heel of each of his characters and makes us question how well we can trust ourselves and one another. Each tale carries a twist that will haunt readers for days after they turn the final page. So yes, I do love Peter James. I'm slowly trying to collect any of his books that I can in hardback. Yeah, I think there's 2 that aren't in hardback. Shari Lapina, Not a Happy Family. In this family, everyone is keeping secrets, even the dead. In the quiet, wealthy enclave of Brecon Hill, an older couple is brutally murdered hours after a tense Easter dinner with their 3 adult children, who of course are devastated. Or are they? Each stands to inherit millions. They were never a happy family thanks to their vindictive father and neglectful mother. But perhaps one of them is more disturbed than anyone knew. Did somebody snap after that dreadful evening, or did another person appear later that night with the worst of intentions? That must be what happened. After all, if one of the family were capable of something as gruesome as this, you'd know, wouldn't you? We got another Kirsten Hannah book. We got The Four Winds. It's a big floppy paperback. So I have no idea. I've never read any Kirsten Hannah. So Texas, 1921, time of abundance. The Great War is over. The bounty of the land is plentiful, and America is on the brink of a new and optimistic era. But for Elsa Walcott, deemed too old to marry at a time when marriage was a woman's only option, the future seems bleak, until the night she meets Rafe Martinelli and decides to change the direction of her life. With her reputation in ruins, there's only one respectable choice: marriage to a man she barely knows. By 1934, the world has changed. Millions are out of work, and drought has devastated the Great Plains. Farmers are fighting to keep their land and their livelihoods as crops fail and water dries up and the earth cracks open. Dust storms roll relentlessly across the plains. Everything on the Martinelli farm is dying, including Elsa's tenuous marriage. Each day is a desperate battle against nature and a fight to keep her children alive. In this uncertain and perilous time, Elsa, like so many of her neighbours, must make an agonizing choice: fight for the land she loves, or leave it behind and go west to California in search of a better life for her family. I think that sounds really good. Like I said, I've never read any, but I want to. Paul picked me up a copy of Peter May's Entry Island. This is in absolutely amazing condition for the spine. This was from the Tesco charity shop, charity bookshelf. One I haven't read. If you flee fate. When Detective Simon Mackenzie is sent from Montreal to investigate a murder on the remote Entry Island, 850 miles from the Canadian mainland, he leaves behind a life of sleeplessness and regret. But what had initially seemed an open and shut case takes on a disturbing dimension when he meets the prime suspect, the victim's wife. Anne is convinced he knows her even though they've never met. And when Simon's insomnia becomes punctuated by dreams of a distant Scottish past in another century, this murder in the Gulf of St. Lawrence leads him down a path he could never have foreseen, forcing him to face a conflict between his professional duty and his personal destiny. Yay! Definitely. There's some books missing, so I'll have to go and find them. There must be another bag down there somewhere. Then we've got the Roommate by Rosie Dannon. I said there were too many, didn't I? Clara Wheaton is the consummate good girl, overachieving, well-mannered, utterly predictable. When her childhood crush invites her to move cross-country, the offer is too good to resist. Unfortunately, it's also too good to be true. Suddenly, Clara finds herself sharing a house with a charming stranger. Josh might be a bit too perceptive, not to mention handsome for comfort, but there's a good chance he and Clara could have survived sharing a summer sublet if she hadn't looked him up on the internet. Once she learns how Josh has made a name for himself, Clara realises living with him might destroy the reputation she spent years building. But while they might not agree on much, both Josh and Clara believe women deserve better sex. Alright? What if they decide to do about it will change both their lives, and if they're lucky, they'll help everyone else get lucky too. We'll have to see. I don't know how spicy that is. I'm not big on spice, but we'll see. Then we've got, I don't know if I can get it out. A Woman of a Certain Rage. I love the title. Eliza Finch is angry, and very, very hot. Late for work and dodging traffic, she's still reeling from the latest row with her husband, Paddy. 20-something years ago, their eyes met over the class divide in Britpop London. But while Paddy now fills his downtime with canal boots and cricket, Eliza craves the freedom and excitement of her youth. 50 sounds dangerously close to pensionable. Her woke children want to cancel her, a male motorist has just called her a mad old bat, and to cap it all, her hormones are on the run. When a moment of heroism draws an unexpected admirer, Eliza sets out to discover whether the second half of life can be a glass half full after all. Well, of course it can. Next we have Mums on Strike by Laura Kemp. It was just a squash grape on the kitchen floor. Hardly a reason to get upset, right? But 6 years of motherhood have left Lisa Stratton feeling like a skivvy. Every morning before she's opened her eyes, she starts her mental inventory of jobs to do. And just like every day since she became a mum, she's woken up knackered. So when her husband deliberately steps over the grate because it's her responsibility to run the house, it tips her over the edge. He wasn't always like this. They used to share everything. Then the kids came along and he saw it as an excuse to sit back. But this time, things are going to change. Lisa's made a decision. She's going on strike. I like the idea of that one. Sounds really good. And the next one is How to Kill Your Family by Bella Mackey. Yeah. Okay, why not? They say you can't choose your family, but you can kill them. Meet Grace Bernard, daughter-sister serial killer. Grace has lost everything, and she will stop at nothing to get revenge. And that's all it says. But it sounds so good. So I'm just going to go and find the other books, and I'll be right back. I have the last bag. There's not many in this one. And in fact, 6 of them are for Jennifer. But I really want to read them. Right, so first of all, I've got The Drowning Ground by James Marison. I bought these from a car boot sale. A grisly murder. In the heart of the English countryside, a man is stabbed to death with a pitchfork. Why not? When DCI Guillermo Downs arrives, he finds he knows the victim. I'm sure that's not how you pronounce his name, but hey, I don't know. An innocent victim? A decade earlier, Downs made a promise to the families of 2 missing girls that he would find their daughters, and the dead man was a suspect in their disappearance. Perhaps he can finally make good on his promise. A secret unearthed. But DCI Downs, an Argentinian who fled his homeland, knows that old secrets are only ever reluctantly surrendered, and the darker they are, the more tightly the guilty cling to them. Yep, sounds alright to me. And we've got Nothing Short of Dying by Eric Story. Clyde Barr has been on the run for 16 years. Now he's back in the Colorado wilderness, hoping for some peace and quiet. Then Clyde receives a desperate phone call for help from his sister Jen, but the line goes dead. She's been taken. Clyde doesn't know where Jen is. He doesn't know who has her. He doesn't know how much time he has. All he knows is nothing short of dying will stop him from saving her. Sounds like my kind of book. It's not too thick either. And then we got You Let Me In by Lucy Clark. Ooh. I'm in your house. Nothing has felt right since Elle rented out her home. There's a shift in the atmosphere, the prickling feeling that someone is watching from every corner of the clifftop house. I'm in your head. But the doors are locked, the footsteps, the shadows, the signs that someone's there. It must be her imagination. And now I know your secret. unless someone knows what she did. Now they're unlocking her past and she's giving them the key. Ooh, sounds good. And I think this is my last one, yeah, for me. And then I've got 6 for Jen. Red Mist, Patricia Cornwall. Kay Scarpetta has arranged to meet an inmate at the high security Georgia prison for women. The prisoner is a convicted sex offender and the mother of a vicious and diabolically brilliant killer. Blah, blah. Against advice, Scarpetta is determined to hear this woman out. She believes she may hold some answers to the murder of her former deputy, but soon she finds connections to a string of grisly killings. As she learns more, Scarpetta is compelled to conclude that this is only the beginning of a terrifying terrain of conspiracy on an international scale, and she is the only one who can stop it. Of course she is. And the last 6 were £5 for the 6, and they are Enid Blyton books that I read when I was a kid. So, yeah, I'm just going to make sure they're in the right order. Yeah, here we go. So the first one is The Adventures of the Wishing Chair. Molly and Peter have a big secret. In their playroom is a magic wishing chair which can grow wings and take them on flying adventures. They rescue their pixie friend from a giant's castle, visit disappearing islands, and go to a party at Magician Greatheart's palace. I remember reading these when I was a kid, and I loved them. I loved these Enid Blytons. And then we've got the wishing chair again. Molly and Peter are home for the holidays. Together they have wonderful adventures. But what happens when the wishing chair is stolen and then gets its wing cut off by the naughty Slipperies? Oh, I love it. I love it. And then we got more wishing chair stories. So this is Molly and Peter have more amazing adventures on their wishing chair. They found gold at the end of the rainbow, meet brownies and visit the land of wishes. But best of all, they get to help Santa Claus deliver presents for Christmas. And then we've got The Enchanted Wood. When Joe, Beth and Franny move to the country, they discover they are living next to a mysterious enchanted wood. And deep in the wood is the oldest and most magical tree in the world, the Faraway Tree. Join them in their exciting adventures as they visit the amazing lands at the top of the Faraway Tree. And then that's the first one. And then the next one is The Magic Faraway Tree. Deep in the enchanted wood grows the Faraway Tree, the oldest, most magical tree in the world. Follow the adventures of Joe, Beth, Franny and Rick as they visit exciting lands. Meet their enchanting friends, Silky the Fairy, Moonface and funny old Saucepan Man, What's His Name, and a host of magical other creature characters. Ugh, I can't even speak today. And the last one is The Folk of the Faraway Tree. So Joe, Beth and Franny are fed up when Connie comes today. She's so stuck up and bossy, but they don't let her stop them having fun with their tree friends, Silky, Moonface and the Saucepan Man. Together they climb through the cloud at the top of the Faraway Tree and visit the wonderful places there. And Connie learns to behave herself. So those are all the books I got in April. It's a lot. I have a box set opening to come for you soon of books that I bought from eBay. I don't know what's in there. It's a mystery box of books. But not today. Anyway, I am looking forward to getting started on these, especially these Enid Blyton ones. These are going to really help my TBR because they're so short. Although I'm alright at the moment. I'm actually 1 book ahead of schedule on my Goodreads challenge. Maybe because I couldn't sleep last night, so I spent a lot of time reading. But those are all the books I got. I'm mad. I can't help it. But they are all second-hand from charity shops or car boot sales. Although there were 3 from eBay. But that's okay. Anyway, I'll see you in the next video soon. Not sure what it's going to be because, you know, it's a bit hard at the moment. But I will get back to you as soon as I can. Bye-bye.